Hey guys, this is a little masonry nail. Maybe see them around. They're given out at Clown Communion. They're sold at Lowe's, Home Depot. But I carry one around with me almost all the time as a prayer nail. I rub onto it whenever I'm praying about something and thinking on something. I've given them to clients. I've given them to friends. Been to a couple of funerals where they ended up in the casket somehow. Uh, I I use them because it's a reminder about sacrifices that have been made in my life, so that I could be happy, so that I could move forward. Sacrifices that were made um, through Jesus, through His death, dying on a cross, um, and I'm thankful that Chrysalis gets to be a huge part of that. About 20 years ago, 21 years ago probably, after the cross service in the Garden City Chapel, I knelt down as a youth table leader and had an incredibly powerful encounter with Christ, and realized that He wanted a relationship with me and that the Creator of the world cared about me, and it didn't matter who my mom was or my dad was or where I went to church or what I did, but that He loved me and that a great price had been paid uh, for me to be able to have that relationship. So, as we go into these weekends, we're going to be asked to sacrifice. We're going to be asked to wear masks. We're going to be asked to social distance, to do things differently than we've ever done. And I want to recognize that it is not a small sacrifice. But I want to talk through something that the alternative, one of the alternatives was to not have weekends. And it's been more than a year, and Chrysalis dries up very quickly without youth table leaders, and that our window is shrinking. And I felt really strongly that we should have weekends. And then whenever we started talking about how are we going to have weekends, there's COVID restrictions, there's social distancing guidelines. Adrian is the registrar, and we've had so many questions and input from parents, from youth pastors, from area leaders. We've watched other places have things. We've watched things get canceled. And I realized sitting in board meetings that there was going to be a way forward, but that it wasn't worth the sacrifice of alienating members who felt that we needed to have precautions, that it wasn't worth having pastors step away because they needed to protect their congregation and their flock. And it wasn't worth adults having to step away and not be part of decisions because we weren't willing to do CDC guidelines, that we weren't willing to wear masks and just try to take care of each other and have these added precautions. That wasn't worth it to alienate good people, community members, board members, to fight with my wife over whether or not a precaution was needed or not, but that I needed to start focusing on the small sacrifices that I could make so that these weekends would happen. I know you're being asked to be outside of your comfort zone. I know that it's going to be uncomfortable, but I want you to focus on God can appear in these moments that these weekends are made of. And I don't think 21 years ago it would have mattered whether or not everybody was wearing a mask. And it wouldn't have mattered whether or not the table had been wiped down. That God doesn't let things like that get in the way. And I don't think He's going to let things get in the way these weekends. So as a board member, and as somebody whose life was dramatically transformed by Chrysalis, thank you for being willing to sacrifice. And I love you. Now that I'm done crying, I can tell you a little bit more. We're going to follow all the guidelines. We're going to do everything we can so that those parents trust us with their kids, so that that young person can have an encounter, so that area pastors trust us with their flock, so that board members feel like we're doing all that we can to protect these people and our team members and our butterflies. we're going to do all of it. And we're going to do it with a smile on our face, and we're going to do it in anticipation of God doing a mighty work in these people's lives through us. And I'm excited. This is going to be a transformative experience for somebody, just like it was for me. So again, I love you, and please be in touch with your lay directors and let me know if there's anything I can do for you. If you need a nail, let me know.